I am Dino Lucas, and welcome to Book 101. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is the author of several books, no other than Mr. Morton Litter.
Hello, how you doing?
Fabulous like you, Mr. Martin, and welcome back for another week to talk about your one of your fabulous book.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Yes. So, which book we're gonna talk about today?
We're going to talk about my latest release, which is called Snakes and Ladders. It's only been out 10 days now, I think. Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 10 or 11 days. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's going okay. Get some good reviews.
Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
what genre?
This is sort of a crime horror thriller. So it's sort of the first. I've written one before that's got vampires in it, and I've written one as well that's got a witch cult in it. You know, cultish people. But this one's sort of like my first stab at horror.
Wow. That's be awesome. So, Snakes and Ladders. What behind the title?
So it's a crime. It starts off as a crime drama, and and obviously snakes is a term people like use, like rats and snakes are people that people that are in crime and don't do things that the majority of us do. And also they're window cleaners, so it's ladders, and it sort of escalates from there really. So yeah, just a pun on the classic children's game Snakes and Ladders.
Well, according to Miss Payne, reviewed last February 26, 2023, she compared your book to one of our great horror novel, Mr. King. How does it feel?
Yeah, I was gonna send him a message, on a DM in on Twitter and say, I don't know if you've ever been compared to my books, but I've just had one of mine compared to you. So yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be mentioned. You know, um, that was by Sylvia Payne, wasn't it? Yeah. So yeah, it's like I say, it starts off with normal people, normal wrong'uns who are washing windows in a posh estate on the other side of the town, the other side of the tracks, and he goes back then and robs the ones he thinks are worth robbing, and that's based on a true story. When I worked in Northampton, this we had some window cleaners in that come in every few weeks, and this new lad started, and he lived in the Eastern District, which is sort of like a lot of London overspill. And he saw these lads, and he went, "Oh, he ain't got them washing your windows." He said, "Because like they're like
Yes.
right wrong uns." He said they're locals down my pub, and they just wash the windows, and then tell the mates who's worth robbing, and lo and behold, they get robbed within the
Mm,
next couple of weeks. So that's
yes.
how it starts, and that was based on a sort of a true anecdote of someone I used to work with who lived in a rougher part of town. So yeah, so that's how it starts. Yeah, and one of the people they rob is a Russian mobster's daughter, and so that starts a ball rolling where obviously no one robs from Ivan off, I think he's called. Um, and he sends his enforcer after him to teach him a lesson.
Yes.
So
So,
yeah,
Snakes and Ladders.
yeah.
Who inspired you in writing with?
So as I've mentioned previously, in that I've got an older brother and sister, and a liberal mum, and we used to watch lots of horrors back in the day. Hammer House of Horror used to be on a Friday night, double bill. They'd always have it start off with a Long Chaney or a Werewolf and Frankenstein, all those sort of things, and then probably a more modern film after that, perhaps like the Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing Dracula, Satanic Rites of Dracula, things like that. So I've always liked horrors, and this one was sort of inspired by Dusk Till Dawn, really, old Quentin Tarantino. How that starts off as a crime caper and then becomes a all-out vampire gore fest. And From Beyond, H.P. Lovecraft, Barbara Crampton, and Herbert somebody. That's a great film, From Beyond, where he's experimenting with things, and it opens up a portal to another plane, and these little demon-y things sort of come out. You can see them. We live in coexistence with them, but we can't see them. But if you get a certain buzz or hum or whatever it is, certain frequency, you can see them. So, as I say, it starts off as a crime drama. When they decide to rob this mansion in the middle of nowhere, then that's when they get all involved with the experiments that have been going on with people's DNA, and some monsters, well, not monsters, but some shady goings on is involved.
Yes, and according to Miss White, the novel has more twists and turns than the snakes of its title. Wow.
Yeah, I like to put some twists and turns in there, and I think I'm particularly interested in sort of normal people like myself or you, walk along and then get involved in something a bit crazy, and how you would react, whether you'd just go into shock or whether your natural inquisitiveness would get the better of you. Do you go through that door and how you would react? So, like I said, these robbers, one of them was doing a delivery, and this was based on a true experience as well, where I had to deliver this fridge. It was during lockdown. We delivered some bottle cooler fridges to this place, and we nearly gave up because we were thinking, where are we going here? It was off the sat nav. It was only in the Oxfordshire countryside, near Didcot, and we were delivering, and we were like, where are we going here? And we carried on going, and we ended up facing these modern bollards in the road, and we had to buzz through. And these blokes come down on quad bikes and said, follow us. And they were Russian, I think, or something. They were definitely Eastern European. And they looked the proper job. They've got turtleneck jumpers on and helmet in black. And I said to them, what's going on here then, mate? It was like a really big mansion. And they were like, just keeping their mouth shut. I don't know what it was. And so that sort of inspired me to have this mansion and these shady goings on. So, yeah, another truth.
Yes.
What really happened.
Yes, that'd be awesome. And according to Miss Caroline, says the story is fast-paced and the way all the characters link together is well planned.
Yeah, so like I said, it's there's a couple of robbers, and then there's the girl that gets robbed, and then her. She thinks it's her uncle, but it's not her uncle. But her father's enforcer. He's sent a task to try and find out who robbed her. And then one of her neighbours is a wannabe serial killer. He's had a bit of a strange upbringing, and he's been targeting her for his first victim. So he's not a fully fledged serial killer, but he's stalking her when he sees the robbers breaking in. So he gets involved with her. So him and her, Kira, that's Julian and Kira, I think she's called, Theodore, the hitman, and the robbers all end up at this mansion because they're tailing them to try and get some justice and some vengeance. And then the robber's father is actually in prison with a professor that used to work at this spooky mansion. So it's all sort of linked in, and they all end up at the same place. And then the fun really starts.
So if you compare Snakes and Ladders to History is a Lie, what is a big difference?
So History is a Lie is a conspiracy, historic sort of romp through time, mythology with vampires, and sort of explaining who's really running the world. And this one, the experiments that have been going on, they've been messing around with DNA. There's, for the beauty industry, like hair removal, anti-aging, and breast augmentation is worth something like 300 billion put together. So there's plenty of money in it. And so they're looking at like the DNA from animals, like certain animals, the crocodiles. They can go 6 months without eating, and snakes and that shed their skin. Snakes can go quite a while without eating, as can cats. But while I was researching which animals don't eat very often and live a long time, like certain frogs and that, they live for ages. There's a creature called a tardigrade, which is the size of a pinhead, and it only eats once every 30 years. So what I've got them is mess around with DNA.
Yes.
They are the Dr. Mordeau, messing around with drastic consequences as they're trying to, find out how to stop people aging, how to suppress people's appetite, and the hair removal, which is a big thing these days, isn't it? So you've got like this lynx, Sphinx cats in there, they're hairless due to a genetic mutation apparently. So they're messing around with lots of people's DNA, well, with animals' DNA, and end up injecting it into some people.
Yes, definitely. And tardigrade can live from the coldest and hottest part of the universe.
They're crazy little creatures. They are. Yeah.
I hope they're gonna clone us like tardigrade so that we can live on Mars.
Well, read the book and be careful what you wish for. Is all I say.
So that you can the population of people can live anywhere in the universe.
Yeah. That's the future.
Yes, and according to Mr. Richard Martin, it's a great book, totally different from other.
Yeah, like so most of mine, themes are forever, more than you can chew, a lot of Bish and Warmonger. They're all whodunit, sort of gritty, sort of adult thrillers. Siblings is my nice one. We've talked about that. That's about people appearing on a quiz show and the consequences of winning or not winning. And then this one, like I said, I've stepped out into sort of. I think one review says it's a genre busting, whatever it is, because it starts as crime, then goes into sort of science fiction and then ends up in horror.
So is this the first time you wrote a horror novel?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Well, I said it's when I've been talking about it, I say it's a cross between Dusk to Dawn meets From Beyond, with a bit of the art of Dr. Morrowind and the reptile for those people who are of older generation. But it's a crime horror.
That'd be awesome. So do you think there's a sequel or prequel of Snakes and Ladders?
There could be. Obviously, it goes back in time to when the person that's in prison with their dad, it goes back 20 years to tell his story and how he ended up in prison. And there's an epilogue which is very open, very very open to the reader's own discretion on what they think's going on there. 3 people have given me 3 different versions of what they think's going on there. Which is what I intended. So there could be, obviously if Netflix buy it up and make it into a season and say we want a season 2, then show me the money and I'll write one up. But no, at the moment it's a standalone story, as are most of my books.
Yes, definitely. And one of your reviews says they are wondering about the ending of the epilogue.
Yeah. So two people have said like, oh, I love the ending. I love the way it's open ended and you can make your own mind up. And I think that's NS4, doesn't it? She said she wanted more detail in there. So yeah, I left it totally open. They've got a flat tire and they're in the wrong area, and one of them gets out to have a look at the flat tire, and you can make your own mind up on what has happened to, I think she's called Lisa. It's nice to talk about a book that's really fresh in my mind because I've only just finished it. Last week we were talking about it 2 years ago, and I'm like, who wasn't what it called? But yeah.
Yes. So do you think you did that in purpose so that you can relate easily the sequel or the prequel of the book?
Yeah. I did it on purpose, like totally open-ended, to make you go. I reckon that's that.
Yes, because some book that even if you want to make a sequel and a prequel, it's
Yeah.
hard because you did already the ending that it's hard to continue.
Yeah, definitely. In some other books, there's no way you could do a sequel. The story's been told. I think you'd be clutching at straws if you went back and oh no, it's like when you used to watch Flash Gordon or whatever on a Saturday morning, and the car would be going over the cliff, and then next week it'd show it backwards a bit, and we rolled out, so he didn't die. And you're like, right, but he was definitely going over the cliff. So yeah, you can have cliffhangers and that, but you can't totally change the story and go, no, he had a twin. You know what I mean? Because it's just like a bit naff.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So before we go on, Mr. Morton, I'm gonna want to shout out my top 15 countries listening to us. Of course, number one, Canada. Number two, United States. Number three, United Kingdom. Thank you so much. Number four, Philippines. Number five, Germany. Dankeschön, Germany. Number six, India. Namaste, India. Number seven, Spain. Muchas gracias, Spain. Thank you so much. Number eight, Australia. Thank you so much. Number nine, South Korea. And number 10, New Zealand. Number 11, Mexico. Muchas gracias, Mexico. Number 12, Ireland. And number 13, Italy. Grazie mille, Italy. And number 14, Kenya. And at number 15, Singapore. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, because this podcast is created to empower writers all over the world like Mr. Morton. So, Mr. Morton, what is the best highlight of Snakes and Ladders?
It's just a fast paced. Like all my books, every chapter's got something going on. I think someone said, one of the reviews said that what they liked was that the characters are particularly nasty, but you do feel sympathy for them because the way I write them, which is that's quite a compliment, really. And there's some true things in there that like I said, the window cleaners. So watch out who's cleaning your windows. And there's bits where they're stuffing dead frogs full of drugs to throw over the prison wall. That's how they get drugs in the prison in England. Anyhow, they put them into dead birds and throw them over the wall, and then they pick them up and take their innards out. So there's some nice little bits in there of true stuff, and then with a fast paced, dark humoured story.
Yes, and according to one of your readers, that wide range of characters. Oh, nice. So let's talk about the main characters. What can you say about it?
You've got the two brothers, Tommy and Danny, who are like, window cleaners by day and delivery driver by day, and then at night they come and rob you. And then there's Theodore, the hitman, and there's quite a few foreigners in this one. And they're all named after people I work with. All the van drivers at work at the moment are like from Bulgaria and Romania, and Poland. So you've got Premislav, Borislav, Theodore, Ivan. They're all in there. Maria. They're all named after people I work with, which is quite good fun. So there's Theodore, the hitman or enforcer, who goes after Tommy and Danny for stealing from Kira. And Kira then hooks up with Julian, who is the wannabe serial killer. And then there's a couple of side characters. There's Robert, the professor, who's in prison with Terry, who's Danny and Tommy's dad, and there's one of their work colleagues called Steele because he's really hard. And they're the main characters. There's another character as well, which I won't introduce her because that's the sort of twist, things like that. So you have to read it to find out who the other character is. And there's a brilliant scientist called Dieter Kellerman, I think he's called, and he's the one that does all the scientific stuff. But he's a flawed character. He's a bit of a pervert. That's the only reason he wants to be involved with these experiments. But so there's a wide array of equally dislikable characters.
Yes, definitely. So, how dark is Snakes and Ladders?
Yeah, I don't think it's the darkest I've written. Probably, in Erica in The Lord of Bitch of the Warbungers is probably the most horrible character I've ever written. But she's the bitch of the title. But yeah, like I said, there's these experiments going on, and there's these people that rob you. I've been burgled a couple of times. It's not a nice experience. And one of my friends, he got burgled, and what they do then is they wait until your insurance pays out. They come and burgle you again because they've got brand new bikes and iPads. So there's some nasty people out there. You have to be careful of them. But yeah, it's not my darkest writing, I don't think. But it's there. It's a good story.
So, how many days and month you wrote this book?
Again, it's my usual one. It's 126 pages, which is within 5 of all my books, apart from History is a Lie. It probably took me 3 months. I did get a bit of a writer's block with this one because I wasn't sure when to introduce the main sort of experiments. So as always, I sent it to my mum, and I was getting, "This is what I'm thinking. What do you think?" And actually, the ending was my mum's idea. She read it, and I changed the last chapter, the epilogue to the last chapter, and then wrote an epilogue. So probably 3 months, but I did probably have a 2-month gap before writing the last 4 chapters.
So, if you want to revise these Snakes and Ladders, which part of the book you want to revise?
I don't know. Yeah, someone read it and said I wanted more character depth and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't tend to go for that. I like to, like I said, you can, like I said, like Kira is good looking. You can decide. You can define your own good looking. She might be 6 foot if that's what you like. She might be blonde. She might be brunette. She might be Asian. She's not. She's Russian, to be fair. But you can choose. So I don't go into too much depth. Like some books, they describe everyone's tattoo in great detail and what they're drinking and how long they've been drinking it and stuff like that. But that's not my style. I just bang them out, and you can make your own mind up. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I get a bit bored sometimes in other people's books when I know everything about the room, but it's totally irrelevant to the story. But that's just each their own.
Yes, that'd be awesome. So, people listening on my Book 101 review, I'm inviting you to listen to my other podcast, Food 101, on our 3rd season with Chef Alessandro. He's one of the executive chef in one of the 5-star hotel in downtown Toronto. So please do check Food 101. So, Mr. Morton, as a writer of independent publisher, what are the benefits of being independent publisher?
I saw something the other day which made me chuckle, where a fellow author was saying, "Oh, I just got back from the publisher, and they want me to rearrange the chapters, totally start at the start, and they want a different ending." And I thought, well, how is that possibly the same book? Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? They want you to start from the start, rearrange the ending, and put chapters in different order, and so one advantage, I guess, is being self-published. You can just do what you want, and you can tell your story, and you can put as much detail or no detail, or You can put whatever you want in, and let your readers decide whether it's any good or not. You know, you're in control, aren't you? You know, so yeah. So the biggest advantage is that you're the boss and you can do what you want.
So, what are the disadvantages?
Disadvantage is trying to get people to read it, isn't it? I mean, like I think I've said it before. If you're famous or half celebrities these days, that they're throwing book deals at you, and it's dubious whether they even write them themselves, isn't it? Um, you know, so that's the disadvantage. Is it's a very you're competing against millions of people and millions of good books as well. Don't get me wrong. There's obviously some rubbish ones out there, but there's some really good stuff out there. And trying to, you know, I think I read somewhere that independent authors sell 20 books a year. You know, which is quite disheartening, really. But I've sold 20 of this one in a month. Admittedly, 5 or 6 of them are friends and family. But the other 16, most of them reviews I've got on this one so far are total strangers, people I don't know at all. So, that's very encouraging.
So, do you think, Mr. Morton, that nowadays, because of independent publishing, the quality of product that they are publishing is getting lessened and lessened?
I, I, I'm not in a position to say really. I don't know. I've, I read books, when I was young. We always had a book on the go because we didn't have iPads and all that sort of stuff anyhow then. But always had a book on the go until I was probably 18, where I was then going out drinking and trying to pull and dancing and doing whatever.
Yes.
And then I had a big gap. I didn't read anything for like 15 years when I moved into my house, and I probably only would read once a year on holiday. And then since then, in my last 3 or 4 years, where I sort of semi-retired and started travelling, that I started reading again, and I only started really reading again when I started writing again. When I started writing, for the first time. So the quality, I don't know. There's some. I was watching a program the other day, and some of it's really good, but it's called Happy Valley. I don't know if you can get it overseas, but this bloke asks for a pay rise, and the boss says no. So he goes up to this camping site where he happened to see that the bloke that running the camping site is shifting some drugs through, and he says, "Do you fancy kidnapping my boss's daughter?" And he goes, "Yeah." And you think, really? I mean, selling some drugs to kidnap is another level, isn't it? And they decide to kidnap this. So he gives it to these two idiots to do. Who one of them's just come out of prison for rape, and he ends up raping her. And then when they're like shipping her over, trying to move her to a different house, they kill a copper. And you think, right? So you were a drug dealer, and now you're involved in murdering a copper, rape, and kidnap. I mean, it's a massive step up, isn't it? I mean, do you know what I mean? And you think, really? But someone wrote that. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. So, I think there's always been poor writing out there, and I'm sure there's still plenty of poor writing. Perhaps mine's even involved in that. But there's good stories and there's bad stories, and and we've all got our own life stories and life experience. And I suppose some things to someone is real, and they think, yeah, that would happen because it happened to me, and other people go, that never happened. So I don't know. I mean, like with last week we spoke about Demons Are Forever, and
Yes.
I spoke about how as we get older we've all got our demons, and I purposely made none of my people addicted to drugs because I've got no experience in drugs, and I don't think I could write about someone with a drug addiction. But I did write about someone with a scratch card, and I love a scratch card. So one person can read it and go, "No way, I don't get it," because they haven't lived that life, and other people go, "Yeah, that's so true." But yeah, that's
Quality of a good novel.
it's got to hook you in, isn't it, and keep you interested. I think and there's sort of a bit of chat about prologues, no, yay or nay, and I think a prologue is it's great. You can get a really good prologue. I read one book where they were digging up an Egyptian tomb, and I got there and it got a wristwatch. You've got a digital watch on, and I thought, hey, what's this? That's really good. Turned out it was they murdered her husband, and it was a message to her to stop stopped digging or something. It was his watch, But it was a great prologue. You think, well, it's like a X-Files vibe to it, So it's got to hook you in, isn't it? And have a satisfying ending. I think.
Yes, definitely. So if you're writing a novel, is there always an epilogue or a prologue?
No, I've some of my books have got both. Some have got one, and some have got none. And I think when I've got involved in the discussion online about prologues and epilogues, I think if it's setting the scene, but it's not to do with the main story, So and also it's like an after the epilogues to sort of summarize what's going on that doesn't happen in the main story. So Demons Are Forever. The prologue is the attack, and then we move 15 years later when all the story happens, over a chronological set time, and then the epilogue goes back in and shows the other side of the prologue from the other person's point of view. So he didn't even know he'd killed him. He just thought he'd punched him. He didn't know he'd killed him. It's like, right, So so you got an epilogue and a prologue in that one, which are both 15 years before the main story.
Yes.
So I think that makes sense to me. I might be wrong. People could point me out and say, no, you're wrong, but that's it. And there's no prologue in Snakes and Ladders, but there's an epilogue because the epilogue is 20 years after all the events of the novel.
Okay, that'd be awesome. So, I want to thank Player FM on the list for the number 6 best book review podcast. Thank you, Player FM. So, Snakes and Ladders is good for a series or a movie.
Yeah, it could be a movie, I guess. Yeah, it could be a free part of Sunday night, BBC One, 9 o'clock, or it could be a movie. It's a good story.
Either of the both.
Either, yeah.
Yeah, we are calling what Netflix.
Yeah.
let's
Listening.
let's try Mr. Morton books. History Lie. Your favorite is History Lie, right?
Yeah, they're all my favourites, but yeah, History of the Lie is in my view is the best one, but it's not got the most reviews. Lie the Bitch and the Woman has got the most reviews.
Okay. And how about Snakes and Ladders? If you put into ranking.
I don't think I can because they're all good. Yeah, I suppose I don't know. That's not. It's not a fair question. They're all
It's not
good.
fair. Yeah, they are all good.
They're like Pokemons. Why not collect them all?
Right. Oh, let's read all the books of Mr. Martin Luther because they are one of a kind. They have different genre. There is horror. There is fantasy. It is a fun. You wrote already fantasy?
Yeah. There's fantasy. There's family drama, and there's a thriller and murder and crime. It's all there, and a bit of humour. They've all got humour in them.
You wrote different kinds of genres. So, what else you can say is Snakes and Ladders?
It's on Kindle. It's only £2. Yeah, give it a go. It's fast paced, easy to read, and I like to think a fairly unique story. I've not read, like I said, it's heavily influenced by my childhood films and programs, but I think it's unique as all my books. But read it and find out for yourself. And if you think it's a rip off of something else, let me know.
Yes, it's the latest book of Mr. Martin Luther's Snakes and Ladders that we need to read. Is it available on audiobook?
On audio?
Yes.
No, it isn't. No, it's just on Kindle at the moment and Kindle Unlimited.
So for all your books, Mr. Morton, are you planning to do audiobook?
Not at the moment. I'd have to get to a certain level of reviews and people reading them, I think, before I went down. I've got no idea how much it costs and things like that. I know other people have I've spoken to her saying about getting the right actor and the right voices and things like that. You know, it's a skill that is, to be fair to the people that do it. Read some really, I've listened to some really good ones. But Alan King, is it? I can't remember his name now. But yeah, there's some talented people out there doing them, that's for sure. But you got to make sure you get the right one, you know. So, but at the moment, no plans for that.
Oh yes. Are you? I forgot to ask you this. Are you fan of Mr. King or this legendary horror no horror writer,
Stephen
Mr.
King.
Yes.
Yeah, I prefer the films to his books. I find the books a bit outgoing, to be quite honest, but I do like, Dead Zone and Carrie and Christine and Salem's Lot. That was a very important program when I was a kid. You know, scratching the window, hey, let me in, and all that.
Yes.
But I prefer. I think we spoke about this before. I prefer James Herbert and Dean R. Koontz. To be fair.
So which do you prefer if you're gonna choose James Herbert or Mr. Stephen King?
Yeah, James Herbert.
So what writing of Mr. Herbert that you like the best?
I think we spoke about this before. Sepulchre, is it the one? Yeah, it's great twist in that one. That's yeah, it's my favourite. Well, yeah, Rats and The Fog and The Dark. I think The Fog and The Dark are the same book, really. It's just one's a fog going around sending people mad, and the other one's some dark going around sending people mad. But yeah, I prefer James Herbert.
So what James Herbert style of writing that impacted you?
Definitely the twist in Sepulchre. I think if I'm saying it correctly, that sort of stuck with me. It's a great twist, and I always try to emulate a great twist in mine as well. So yeah, I do. Yeah, I love it. I love it when I don't see something coming. I read a book, M.H. David, the Gouge, which is a tool or something, I think. And I predicted like 2 or 3 of the twists. And I was thinking, that's definitely she's doing it. But then there was about another 6 other twists that I didn't get at all, and I was like, oh wow, didn't see that coming. And I don't know whether since writing my own books, whether it's ruining TV for me, because I just look at it and go, really? What's going on here? I don't know whether it's ruining TV and film for me, but I do like to get caught out, and his book definitely caught me out. So you want to get him on and talk about his book. He's a good lad.
Yes, definitely. So do you think Mr. Herbert discredit?
Discredit?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Because when they're doing a movie about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made The Fog is James Herbert's Fog, but the movie's nothing like the book. And I was, I thought it was just a coincidence that they were both called The Fog, but apparently it's the same one. But it's I don't know what else of his they've made into films. They've done the Rats. I think Rats was a film. I don't know. I read these years ago, but they've stuck with me. Obviously, in my mind as being good books, or they were when I read them.
Yes, definitely. Because I think on our first episode with my Christian Stadruble, we talk about James Herbert, about his work and everything that happened to him. And we found out that if we compare to Mr. King and Mr. Herbert, if we have the same procedure that make him more famous, because in terms of writing, they are equal. But it so happened that Mr. Stephen King was popularized because when they doing their movie from the book from his movie, it comes the same title and he's credited. But when Mr. James Herbert doing the movie, they changed the movie title, and it's really discredit him as a good writer.
Yeah, I suppose no matter how rich and famous you are, there's a certain amount of luck, isn't there? And you could get, I suppose you could get 2 people making movies, and one of them gets to cast Johnny Depp in it, and it's a hit, and one of them casts, someone else in it, and it's not a hit, and it's like, it doesn't. You think, well, that was actually a better story, but I think that happened with Red Dragon with and Silence of the Lambs, isn't it? Brian Cox was Hannibal Lecter in Red Dragon, I think.
Yes.
And they changed it to Manhunter or something like that. So it wasn't. So the book's called Red Dragon. I might be wrong, but the book's called Red Dragon, and they made it into a film called Manhunter, which is the prequel to Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Then they made Silence of the Lambs without linking them, and cast Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter, and it was all like, wow, he's brilliant and all that. Where really, perhaps Brian Cox was a better Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter, which should have been called Red Dragon. But like I said, no matter how rich and famous you are, you can look out by starring in one with a low budget, and or starring in one with a massive budget, and people taking to it and not taking to it. You look at the best-selling films and that. Some of them are like, you think, really, how could that sell more than that? But each their own, and the general public will decide where they spend their own money. To be fair to them.
Yes, definitely. But we love Thomas Harris. You have did a great novels. We love you. So, Mr. Morton, please invite again our listeners to buy all your books.
Okay, so all my books, 7 of them, all in between 4 and 5 stars in the ratings, all on Kindle, most on paperback, 5 of them on paperback, all on Kindle Unlimited, and all for a bargain price of £2, or I think or $3 there might be. All available. So if you do, have a couple of quid spare and want entertaining for 2 to 3 hours, have a look at my books. And if you do enjoy them, or if you don't enjoy them, just give me some feedback in the way of a review.
Yes, let's do support independent publisher people, because if you support them, they give their best. And I think Mr. Morton have 3 books more to come.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So again, let's support them, because we'll give their best 100%. So, Mr. Morton, thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Morticon people, see you soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye.